Welcome back to Celebrity Radio with a world exclusive. You may have seen all over the papers a lady called Josie Cunningham, who seemingly doesn't have much of a talent other than courting the press. They seem to love to talk about her. And that's got even bigger in the last year since she met a man called Andy Goy, who joins me on the phone now. Andy, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
It's going to be interesting, this conversation, because up to now, you have not spoken publicly about Josie Cunningham, but she seems to be obsessed in talking about you.
Yeah, that's right, that is, yeah.
How did you meet Josie?
I met her on a dating site online called Plenty of Fish when I was in a rehab last year. I didn't know who she was when I met her at first, because she didn't have a picture up, but she kept inboxing me messages, and I asked her to send me a picture of herself, because obviously it could have been anyone. So she asked me to add an app on my iPhone called Kick Messenger, and she sent me some photos, but I still didn't know who she was because she named herself as Chloe.
Right.
So obviously I didn't understand she was...
Were those naked photos or were they just face photos?
There was actually press photos of her on a bike, and ones that have been used in the press quite regularly from when she first had a boob job, I think.
When did you then move it to the next level when you were able to meet her?
Obviously, with me knowing her as Chloe, I still didn't understand who she was. And then after a couple of days, she gave me a phone number. And then she basically started telling me that her name was Josie Cunningham. But obviously, I didn't realise who she was. I didn't know who she was at the time until she asked me to Google her. So
let's skip forward then to you getting to meet her. Where did you first meet?
Well, basically, we was going to meet in Leeds. She asked me to meet her for a coffee, but after a few chats, because we did talk for hours on end at first, and, you know, it was great, you know, because I'd sorted my head out, and, you know, I had these feelings for a girl that was obviously not the girl that she made out to be. So I ended up going round to her house. She invited me round to her house one night, and I came out from the rehab to meet her at her home in Leeds.
So on the first time you went round, what happened?
Well, basically, I met a daughter who was I think she was about 2 weeks old at the time, which would be Grace. Obviously, that was a bit of a shock, but she did tell me that she had 3 kids. But I wasn't really interested how many kids she got, because I fell for her, obviously, by talking to her for hours on the phone. So obviously, I went round and we started chatting, and we watched the film, and we were both a bit shy around each other at first, which was nice. I've never felt like that about someone, obviously, because in the past I've always had a drink or whatever, and I didn't because I'd sorted my head out at the time. So but I thought, wow, I've never had this with someone and felt this way. Obviously, with my head being so straight as well, and you know, she was amazing at first. I'm not going to deny that.
Great. So it's going well so far. At what point then does it become a proper relationship and you become intimate?
She ended up inviting me round to a new house, what she'd recently moved to, because she was decorating. And basically, I'd helped her move all the stuff into there and everything. And obviously, we started to get a bit intimate then. And basically, it just escalated from there. And she asked me to move in within a couple of weeks after then. So I would have said I was seeing her for about 5 or 6 weeks before she asked me to move in with her.
I mean, that's pretty quick, especially for a lady who at this point was how rich. Had she got all her money from the papers at this point, or was she still on her arse?
I'd have said I've never seen her without money, but obviously recently I have seen her without money, and she is struggling. I'm not going to deny that, and she's doing anything she can to make a bit of money. Obviously, that's why I keep thinking, that's why she keeps making things up about me.
Okay, so do you think from the moment you met, she actually genuinely wanted to be your partner and in a serious relationship, or do you think she just wanted to use you to be pictured in newspapers to make money? Because that's how it looks. It seems the first time you were seen in public, that picture with the pram, that was the beginning of the charade, wasn't it?
Well, actually, it was actually arranged to do that photo shoot with her agent, Rob Cooper, who took the photos of us. And then it escalated from there. I wasn't expecting all my past to be brought up, which is obviously not my side of the story. It's the paper's side of the story, which has upset me, and it kind of was a big shock to me, you know, waking up to all that in the papers, and obviously my friend ringing me up, and you know, it wasn't a nice time for me. That wasn't.
Let's clear some of that up. I mean, what is your take on that? You had a difficult upbringing. It all went wrong. Through what reason? Were you involved in drugs? How did that happen?
I would have said that I had the best upbringing I could ever have, you know, or any child could possibly imagine. My mum and dad gave me everything. But obviously, being an addiction, this illness is with me for the rest of my life, you know. Everything I do is an addiction. Like ice hockey as a child, everything. But obviously, when I got to about the age of 13, 14 in my teens, I started knocking about and started drinking and trying drugs, and basically got myself into a life what obviously led to this and got me in a bit of a mess, obviously.
Where do you think that came from? How did it happen, or was it just one of those things you were born with?
I think actually, from me being in the rehabs and doing all the work I've done on my recovery, you're actually born with this disease, if I'm honest. That's what I'm led to believe today, anyway.
And how are you as we talk today?
I'm doing really well. I've got myself in a rehab, obviously, with the split from Josie, which I split with her, which I'd like to set the record straight on that, because it's not very nice when I read the papers on Sunday. And obviously, it's saying that she split with me and everything, and obviously talking about me badly again.
Can I ask you one question about your past? Did you really think that that wouldn't come out? People will sell any story as you're learning fast. It was a very naive move, although I know where you come from. We actually are from the same village, and I get that if you're not part of that media world, you may not get it. But the truth is, the second you put yourself out there for positive press, there are equal amounts of negative people wanting to put out negative press.
Yeah, I understand that totally. I just really didn't understand the life of the media and how it works,
right.
But obviously with me being in prison when the story was done about my partner years ago, I was obviously still with my partner at the time then when all this went off, which I'd like to set the record straight as well. You know, and I'm sure I can't really condone what I did, obviously, but I did a lot of work in prison and I did all my courses and everything. I didn't waste my time in prison like some people do. You know, and I bettered myself and bettered my life from it, and I learned from my mistakes.
We're going to get back to Josie in a second, but just a couple of more questions about you that fascinate me. The bodybuilding side, and you look magnificent, certainly compared to someone like me. Is that an obsession as well? Because you are huge, aren't you? I mean, you're enormous even by sort of muscle standards.
Well, I started training, I just said at the age of 16, because my brother, I always looked up to my brother because he's obviously older than me. And I used to watch how he is, and I was mesmerised by it. Obviously, seeing my brother and all the money and the girls around him that he had, and I thought, I want to be like that. You know, you look up to your older brother. So when I left school, one of my best friends asked me if I wanted to go to the gym, and we sort of got into it. And I basically took it from there, really, and I've never stopped. And it is an addiction, but I look at it in my recovery as it's a very good addiction because it's keeping my head straight and it's making me stronger by the day because I've really got into it in a big way now. Okay.
One other question about you I don't understand. I do understand the muscle stuff. I go to a gym and I get how people become obsessed and love that, and that's all positive. Tattoos. I need to talk to you about tattoos, Andy. Why tattoos on your face?
I would have said that would have been back to when I moved to Devon a few years ago with a girl that I was with in a previous relationship, and I was boxing quite a bit. And I basically looked up to a boxer called Mike Tyson, and he was my favourite boxer. And I sort of like studied him online on Google and that.
Yeah.
And I was quite mesmerised by his tattoo, and I've always liked his tattoo. And I wanted something similar, but obviously not the same one.
Right.
And it just basically escalated from there. But I did have a few tattoos before I had that one on my face.
Can you accept from the public's point of view, when we saw you in those pictures, that you look more or less like a thug? I hate to say that because that's quite offensive, but that's the perception, is you're a muscle guy, you've got tattoos on your face, and I know from people around you that isn't who you are, actually. I'm told you're a very gentle man.
I am, yeah. Obviously, I was brought up never to judge a book by its cover, and I do see it when I walk around the streets. You know, people do look at you and judge you because of, you know, you're into your training or you've got a tattoo. I notice it quite regular, but sometimes I do forget and I think, why are people staring at me? But obviously then I think, wow, I've got tattoos on my face. Yeah, some people do stare and judge you, but I think it's wrong that people do judge me because I am a down-to-earth, really nice guy when you get to know me, you know?
Right. That's what I hear from people around me who have connected us today. So then, Josie, what did she like about you? Was it the muscles? Was it the size? Was it the bad boy image? Do you think she liked all of that?
I would have said from what she told me and everything, you know, we didn't get engaged for a laugh, you know, we did it all, but obviously the papers took that to extreme as well, you know.
Do you think she ever really loved you, or was this all a game?
From today, I would have said I really don't know to this day, but I know that I loved her, and I really did love the girl. Because this wasn't a game to me, you know. I was in recovery. I left the rehab to be with her. You know, I took her and her 3 kids on, which, you know, I thought a lot of her kids, and especially baby Grace, which I did. I did everything for them all.
When did it start going wrong?
It started going wrong about when within a few weeks of me moving in with her, because obviously I'd not really been 24/7 with Josie, which I started to be with, because obviously I'd left the rehab and I didn't have any work on or anything at the time. So it was very hard for me, you know, a new area, new start, no job, and obviously going everywhere with Josie, and it was very difficult for me, you know. My dad's helped me financially, and he's helped Josie financially when she's been in a mess as well, you know. Which is not fair on my dad, because, you know, she's borrowed money off my dad, which she's never paid back to this day, and it's not fair on my dad to obviously be going through that at the time, you know.
How much does she owe him?
She owes him quite a few £100, which she promised to pay him back, which she borrowed at Christmas, and she's never contemplated to pay him a penny back. It was all lies with her to pay him back. She's done it. She does do that, you know. She'll borrow money off people, and she never pays them back.
Once you found out who she was, weren't you nervous that this girl is clearly a self-publicist that loves me, will do anything to get in the papers, and that you could just be party to that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. But obviously, at first, I didn't realise. I kind of think that she started getting quite more noticed by public and in the papers when she was with me, to be honest, because obviously all my past was jagged up, and they seemed to be taking more of an interest in her. Whether that's me getting the wrong impression, I'm not sure.
How did it feel that day you woke up and saw your negative past being publicised on national papers?
It was awful, because obviously, you know, the papers have pursued it that I walked. I've actually read this today to obviously have a look through everything that's been going on, because I do check my phone regularly on Google, and it basically says that I actually walked into the house of my previous partner I've got a child with, and basically I was on top of her beating her, and it didn't happen like that. You know, I caught my ex-partner in bed with another bloke, and I was using and drinking, and doesn't condone what I did, but, you know, any person in any circumstance, I'm sure, I mean, I'm not saying that I can't really explain it, but it was the worst mistake of my life, even seeing that. But, you know, it was upsetting, and, you know, I can't explain what happened that day, but, you know, it was everything, one thing led to another, and, you know, it was the biggest regret of my life, and I ended up in prison for it.
And you've paid your price, and you did your time.
I paid my price, yeah, and obviously, all through my sentence, I was still with the girl, you know. I went to court with her. I was charged with GBH, and I was sentenced to 21 months in prison, which obviously I did the best with my time, you know. I've got certificates, I've done listeners courses when I was within the prison, obviously helping other people that came into the prison that were struggling with prison time, you know. I was one of the most trusted inmates every time I've been in and out of prison, as a reception orderly, which is quite a trusted job. You know, so, you know, I've done everything I can.
What's the likelihood of you not going back to prison, Andy? Are you good now? Do you think that this is over, or is there a possibility things could go wrong again?
I am positive today that, you know, I have changed my life, you know, because for this place that I've been in, and, you know, this relationship that I've come out of, you know, it has taught me a big lesson, and I'm 33 now, I'm not getting any younger, and it's time that, you know, I did something about this, and I've took a big step by getting myself out of Nottingham as well, which is good. I mean, I miss my friends and family in there, but I do visit them regularly. But I feel safe where I am now, you know. It's a safe place because I haven't drank and I haven't used up here.
Do you wish you could have cut out the Josie Cunningham saga completely? Because it certainly hasn't helped your life, has it?
Oh yes, I could turn back the time. I would never. If I'd have known the truth and that things were going to end up like this, I would have never got into the relationship in the first place, and I wouldn't.
I want to talk to you about her a bit, because she's been very vocal about what type of human you are and what type of personality you are. I want to find out about her. What kind of person is she?
She plays a very clever game because, you know, I wouldn't say she's thick, but she is on the ball with stories to do with the press, but she is out to do anything she can to make a penny, you know. I know that when I was living with her, I was doing everything I could. I was doing the cooking, I was feeding the baby, I was doing the night feeds, making the baby bottles, and I'd like to get that point across because I wasn't just sat there doing nothing. I did everything I could. Josie most mornings would just get up and do her hair and makeup and take the kids on the school run. I was the one that was up every night feeding Grace and everything like that and making dinner for us all, and
I think it's churlish of anybody to come out of a relationship and say that somebody's a vile person or not worth being with when you wasted your time being with them. She obviously thought you were good enough at the time, or she wouldn't have opened her doors, would she?
No, exactly.
So what was she like in terms of her sexuality? This fascinates me and the public. Is she insatiable? Was she obsessed with sex, or was it something that you had to convince her to do?
I'm not going to deny it. The sex side of her was obviously probably what's kept us together. If I take that away from her, I think to myself, what really was there without that? She basically did everything that I wanted to do, and she was very similar to me within the bedroom department, and we both basically knew what each other liked, if you know what I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody.
Right, but we all like different things. What was your thing then? What did you both enjoy?
I can only explain it as the dirtier the better, really, for the both of us. Dressing up, taking things to extremes some nights. She had fantasies, what we'd talk about. She wanted to get other people involved, which I wasn't really into myself. I'm not into that kind of thing, sharing my partner with people when I'm with someone. I'm not into that. But obviously I played along with it in conversation when we was having intercourse.
You never did that, though? You never had a threesome?
No, I didn't, and I wouldn't. I'm not that kind of person, but I would say it, obviously.
What did she used to dress up as? What was her thing?
She dresses up in PVC quite a lot, and high heels and stuff like that, a lot of makeup on.
She was the one who loved to take control, was that the way?
I would have said we both took control, but it was more her than me, but we both was pretty similar when it comes to that, really, if I'm honest. It wasn't loving, it was just basically hardcore dirty sex that we was doing all the time. There was no love making involved in it ever with Josie, and there wasn't. But
so what did she want you to do? Was it all about banging her and anal and all that stuff? Was it dirty stuff?
Everything, yeah, everything.
And I guess you got a kick out of that too, did you?
I did, yeah, and I did, yeah. I'm not going to deny it, and I'm sure any other bloke wouldn't.
Did you worry when you were doing that this could be portrayed that you're just perpetuating what you've been accused of in the past? Do you know what I mean? It's all very murky, isn't it, all of this stuff? And I can see how she could twist this too and say that you had a violent sexual relationship when in fact you're claiming that was what you were both into. She was consensual.
Yeah, it was, yeah, and I've never really thought about it that way, to be honest, but when you mention it, I want a nice place to be in again.
And then the drinks and the drug side, is she totally clean or does she dabble herself?
No, she smokes cannabis regularly, on a regular basis as well.
In front of the children?
No, not in front of the children, but I would have said that's probably part of where our relationship went wrong, because obviously me being in addiction myself, I did have a bit of a lapse on drinking when I was with her because we went out at Christmas, and that's where things went wrong for me, and I knew I had to sort my life out from there.
How regularly is she smoking cannabis?
On a daily basis.
How do you do that without the kids being party to it? I'm always curious how you get away with it.
They'd either be asleep in bed or they'd be at school. I wasn't happy with it, I have told her numerous times that I wanted her to stop doing it. But I understood that she used to keep saying it stresses me out, I can't deal without it, and obviously me being an addiction myself, I could understand where she was coming from in that.
Do you think it's a healthy environment for those kids to be in? I mean, she brings men into the house who she knows have come from a troubled past, who she's willing to give a chance to, which is nice. You could respect that. But then to cause the stink she has and the shame that she's brought on her family with the publicity that she's attracted, let's face it, she's not gone for the popularist vote, has she? What kind of toxic environment is it? It sounds all very negative.
When I look back now, I think it is very negative. But, when you love somebody in a relationship, but in the past couple of months, I was the one that was trying to get out of it. I was having constant messages every time we fell out, putting claims on that she was pregnant, sending me pictures of pregnancy tests, and I did want a child. I've sorted my head out now, and I think, wow, and it sort of did make me want to go back to her, and I did try and make it work, and then she basically said that she'd had a miscarriage, and it's been an upsetting time for me.
I believe it. When did you last see her? When was the last time you actually were together?
I would have said 2 months ago was the last time we was together, and that's when I decided enough was enough. After my court case was over to do with this criminal damage charge that's recently gone off with her.
Is all of that done now, or is some of that ongoing? Because if it's ongoing, we can't talk about it.
Yeah, it's all done with now. I've got a community service and a suspended sentence for 12 months from it, because I admitted to it from day one. But, you know, she did make allegations with statements against me, which wasn't true, which got dropped. I'd like to make that statement across well if possible. You know, my mum and dad's house got raided for things that she made accusations of, which wasn't true.
What did she accuse you of?
She accused me of breaking and entering the property, which wasn't true. I wanted to leave her, which I did, and she wouldn't give me my possessions. And she actually rang the police and said that I entered the property without her permission, which I was totally in a full-blown relationship with her still at the time, and said that I had basically broke into the house and stole her handbag, which is a Louis Vuitton handbag. And they basically raided my mum and dad's house at Nottingham, which obviously was upsetting time for mum and dad, and I was arrested for it. But all the charges were dropped on that.
When was the last time you actually saw Josie?
It would have been 2 weekends ago.
And what happened on that day?
Well, basically, I went up to try and basically try and sort our relationship out because she kept texting me and everything after the court case was over. But I was in this rehab and you're allowed to stay out a few nights a week. But obviously, I wasn't allowed to go up to her address while I was in this rehab because I was on bail conditions not to contact Josie. So basically, when this court case was over, I decided to go up and spend a couple of days with her. But there's been a lot of jealousy and rivalry with me and Josie because she has got this frame of mind where she constantly goes through my phone, checking my phone all the time, thinking I'm up to things when I'm not. When actually it was her that was doing the playing and cheating, which she's told me, and I've got messages to prove it, you know.
So you're saying she had an affair during your relationship?
Yeah, of course she was. She was talking to other lads. She's constantly on her phone all day anyway. That's her life, that life.
Okay, I get that. Hang on, though. We got to be clear with that. So do you think she had a sexual affair, or you're just saying she had chit-chats on Messenger or whatever?
No, I know she has because she has actually admitted it to me when we fell out for a couple of days or we've had a little split. She has actually told me that she slept with these people and she's shown me messages. She's forwarded me messages.
Why did she contact you tonight? I know before we started this interview, she texted you or contacted you with pictures and messages. Why is she still involving you in conversation and sort of trying to negotiate a dialogue?
I have not got a clue because every time she contacts me, she tells me that she's with someone else, the millionaires. And I just think to myself, well, why are you bothering me? And she's obviously using fake accounts, which she's messaging me her pictures. She's actually hacked into my Facebook account, sending my friends pictures of herself, which are nude pictures, you know, to get attention, to wind me up, to send me the forwarded messages, which I've got in my phone.
All right, the next thing I can see going on here, did you film any of your sex?
No, I didn't. We have spoke about it.
Right. The only reason I say that is the next thing I can imagine is a leak of that. So you never did you take pictures together?
We took pictures together, like when she's been dressed up and that, and we've had selfies, but nothing to the extreme what could probably come out. No, what would do it, what would go any further. There's no videos or anything like that. There's no pictures of us being intimate. But obviously, we've had pictures took. Obviously, she's been dressed up. I haven't been dressed up. I've been in underwear, obviously. I have actually. She's took pictures of me naked, which she has put on Facebook and everything, off these fake accounts, which has been disturbing for me as well.
So there are pictures out there of you naked that you believe she must have put up, because you're saying you didn't, unless you're being very Machiavellian and putting them up yourself, but you're saying the only two people who could have had those is you and her, and you didn't put them up.
No, I didn't. She's actually tagged them off this fake account, what she's using at the moment, which she has messaged me off tonight. It's the same account.
What is it? She can't let go, or she's trying to get more stories? She's trying to... Because I know for a fact she's offered her story again this week to another national paper for a significant amount of money. That's
the first I've heard on this, obviously, but I know that if she's obviously seeing somebody that's got a lot of money, because that's all she does when she contacts me. She says she's seeing somebody.
Yeah, but I don't believe it. It sounds to me if she was with somebody with a lot of money, she wouldn't be wasting her time talking to you.
No, that's exactly what I thought.
All right, then. So we've got through that. Now we get to the last day, why you claim you ended the relationship. What happened?
She basically went through my phone again, and I went to the shop to get some baby milk for Grace. I came back and she started bringing up the past and everything, you know, we have had fallouts, and I have gone back on the dating sites when we fell out and split up, but I have never met up with anyone, and I'd like to get that straight. I've never met anyone off these sites, but I have spoken to people because I thought a relationship had ended.
All right, let's just stop there. So how long were you together? When was the first time you met her until now? How long was that period?
It was October when I met her.
Right, so it's not long, is it? I mean, this is a really sort of toxic environment where you're splitting up every week. Is there a row and you're splitting up, or?
I would have said we was rowing every week, yeah.
And then is there some great big passionate sexual makeup that makes it right again for another week, and then you get bored a week later and it happens again? How does it work?
That's exactly what's happened, yeah. Obviously, we've talked on the phone, and then I go up and we have a sex session, whatever, a dirty, intimate session, and then everything's great for 2 or 3 days with Josie, and then everything brings back up again, you know.
What happens? You walk through the door and you get straight to it. I mean, is there an understanding? Do you arrange?
I'll go round and I'll see the kids, obviously, because you know, the kids do still miss me. She tells me this on the phone when we do get on, and I'll go around. I'll cook something to eat and everything. I'll watch a film, do everything that's, well, I would have said is normal in any relationship, you know. And then the kids go to bed and we get the kids to sleep, and then obviously the intimacy starts.
I have to say, I don't think there's anything normal about your relationship. I think it's probably one of the most dysfunctional relationships I've ever heard. But there you are. That's just my opinion.
Well, when I look back myself, I'd agree with you there.
I mean, this breaking up and making up became normal. Did it ever become violent? I do have to ask you that question.
No, it didn't come violent. It came where I got very irate with my temper by shouting quite regularly, you know, but never been any violence in a relationship, which I know she's been accusing me of on Twitter lately, which I find very disturbing for myself and my past, obviously.
Did she ever get violent with you?
She has got violent, yeah, you know, she has punched me a few times in the face, you know, even the neighbours have seen it when I've left her to come to this rehab. The day I left to come to this rehab, she punched me 3 times in the street, in the back of the head, and I just carried on walking because I wanted to get myself in this place and leave her, which I did again. You know, but obviously there was something there for me to keep going back, and I look back now and I think, what really was it? And it was the sex. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been going back. I'd have realised that today.
Why was she so good in the bedroom? What was it about her that you found so alluring?
I'd have just said because she was so dirty in the bedroom, did anything I wanted, I did anything she wanted, we knew what each other wanted. It was just dirty sex, you know, but when I look back, I think, is that really a healthy sex life in a relationship? No, it's not.
I mean, when you say this word dirty is curious to me, and forgive me if you don't want to answer it, but when I think dirty, I'm thinking toys, I'm thinking pissing, I'm thinking throttling.
There's pissing on each other, there's everything you can think of, anal, everything you can think of in a dirty relationship, dirty sex, and that's what we did with each other. I'm not going to deny that. You couldn't
just have intercourse. It could never just be...
No, we've never made love. Me and Josie have never made love, which is obviously what I want in a relationship, you know, especially now I'm clean and everything, so...
Yeah, I think the signs were there this volatile relationship was never going to work, because if it's founded on almost violent sex, which is what it sounds like, isn't it? It's degrading to one or other of you.
Of course it is, yeah.
Was she the one, what I'm trying to get to as well, whether she was the one trying to dominate you or you were dominating her? That's interesting.
I would have said she was more dominating than myself, if I'm honest, and she was. You know, some of the things she'd talk about and everything, but I played along with it, you know.
Yeah.
She was even talking about getting other blokes involved towards me, and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not into gay relationships or whatever she was trying to say. It was pretty disturbing, really. But obviously, I played along with it, talking about it, which, you know, when I look back, I think was very wrong of me, and it was. But, you know,
again, knowing what you know now, if she's got proof of that, she can come out and say you're bi or gay, and for the record, you're saying you're not bi or gay.
No, I'm not. Definitely not.
Right. On that last day when you had to walk away, what happened?
I basically told her that this was never going to work because of the jealousy and the constant lies and everything and the deceits and keeps going through my phone. It was never going to work, and me being in recovery and clean and sober, I started to realise and started to wake up and think, wow, I'm in a safe place here, I've got to end this relationship. And with me saying so, she actually locked me in the house, hid the keys, and took my phone off me when I was packing my stuff to go. So basically to try and keep me there. But I think what she was doing was trying to irate me up to basically get abusive with her. And then she made a sick comment to say, if you walk out of here or try and get out of here. I'm basically going to ring the police and tell them you've assaulted me while I'm being on a suspended sentence at present.
Andy, I have to just say this is a huge accusation. You're saying that she basically threatened you that she'd accuse you of beating her up if you left.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said to me. Those were her exact words, and I remember them because I was normal, my head was straight, and I was quite concerned. I was very concerned. You know, I couldn't get to my phone because she'd hid my phone. The kids were obviously in the house. It's very disturbing for the kids to be hearing us arguing.
Right, this is the other thing I was going to ask about the sex and the rows and the fighting and all of this. What kind of environment is this for the kids to be around? Would they party to it?
No, it's not a very good environment for the kids at all. Obviously, when they're hearing us argue and everything, and you know, I felt sorry for the kids, which I did, you know, because obviously I'd obviously tried to calm the situation down. Was this just on this one day, or are we talking over a long period? Oh no, you're talking through the relationship from day one. You know, as soon as we started arguing, things got to extreme. Some days with the shouting and you know the things that were being thrown about, which were on Josie's side of things. You know, she'd throw things at me.
Okay, I got to ask you this question then. At this point, should those kids be taken off her? Is she fit to be a mother?
I would have said no, she isn't fit to be a mother, to be honest, to them children, and I'm being serious on that now.
Does she need help herself, do you think?
Yes, she needs a lot of help.
When you say that the kids should be taken away for their own safety, can you explain why you've come to that conclusion?
She does love the kids to bits, but, you know, doing the things she's doing and being pursued in this kind of lifestyle around them children, I would say that they're not in a very good environment at all, you know.
What's her family like? Has she got a family who care for her and the kids?
Yeah, she has, you know. She's very close to her mum and her mum's partner that were in the documentary. And, you know, I had quite a close relationship with them. But, you know, they're a nice family. I think to myself, where did Josie come from at times, you know? What
did they make of this? What do they make of you going? Have you had any contact?
I've had contact with them. You know, I've had to apologise for the criminal damage and everything because, you know, I was very sorry for what I did, you know, smashing the window in. The kids were in the house at the time. It was upsetting for me that I did that, but, you know, she wouldn't let me in the house to get my things and my possessions, and I just wanted to go and get out of there that day, but obviously I'd had a drink that night, and I shouldn't have smashed the window, but...
She had you back after that incident, didn't she?
Yeah, she had me back. I was back there within 2 or 3 days.
Do you think there's an element of mental illness on your side and an element of mental illness on her side where the love, or whatever you call it, lust, is so great you can't actually see the wood for the trees and see how utterly dysfunctional and vile this atmosphere is for everybody involved, most importantly those kids who can't defend themselves?
No, I totally agree with you on that. I totally see it today, but obviously at the time, you know, in the relationship, I don't know what was going through my mind. You know, she just plays some very vindictive games with me. You know, she can be the nicest, caring person on the phone, and then you get there and she'll just escalate a little argument into the biggest argument, and the real Josie Cunningham comes out then, you know, and it's not nice.
I think, as a guy who, I don't know you, this is the first time we've ever spoken, you have to stop contacting her and letting her contact you, because this is going to end up where you're going to end up going round there, and eventually you're going to end up doing something that is going to land you back in prison. You can see that red flag in the sky, can't you?
Of course I can. I can totally see that a mile away. You know, that's why I've had to go to the police, and you know, I really didn't want to go down this route, but I'm having to do it to cover my back, you know, because she's playing a very evil game, you know. Like, these games have got to stop. I have blocked her on my phone, but...
If Josie is listening to this, and I'm sure she is at some point, along with her lawyers and publicist and manager and all other amount of people, what do you want to say to her?
What do I want to say to her? Sort her head out and to leave me alone, and obviously to start being a proper mother to them kids, because she's got 3 beautiful kids that adore her, you know, and she could change her life around if she sorts her head out. But
is it breaking your heart not seeing those kids?
It breaks my heart not seeing all of them, you know. It breaks my heart that Josie's turned out like the girl that she's betrayed as the most hated woman in Britain.
I hate to say it, she's lived up to her reputation, though. You do realise that we could see this coming before you, and it's sad that you were naive enough to believe that was all an act. It seems like you're just the next story in her litany of stories.
the way I look at it, whatever I've had this past what's been in the papers and in the limelight, she's doing whatever she can now, especially now, to make any money out of it. And it's not nice for me, especially when I'm sorting my life out and I'm waking up to the papers when I'm in recovery, and I'm seeing that online, and I'm seeing Twitters about me, and my friends are texting me about things, and I think I don't need this in my life,
Do you feel you're totally misunderstood?
I do, yeah, I do, totally.
Well, I hope I've given you an opportunity to set the record straight. Anything else we've missed that you'd like to say?
No, I just appreciate, obviously, putting my side of my story across, and I hope people don't judge me for my past, because I am trying to change my life. I have got a past.
I think, to be fair, though, Andy, the trouble you've got is the past is your present and your present is your past. Unfortunately, it's all become one, and your recent behaviour hasn't disproved your past. That's the trouble, and that's where the critics and she will always win that PR battle, because she can say, oh, well, yes, he was convicted of this, and yes, he is serving time for that. And I think what you have to do, because you owe it to yourself, and as I think we've heard in this conversation, you are an eloquent man who can defend yourself, and there are two sides to a story. You have to remove yourself from this to protect yourself.
Yeah, I do, and that's exactly what I've done. I've removed myself, I don't reply to the messages. I don't contact her myself, she rings me off with old numbers, and I have got to change my number, but obviously, with everything going off, I kept the number for saving messages and everything to cover myself. That's the only reason why I've kept my same number at present.
Are you dating again? Are you trying to find new love?
I'm not doing anything at the moment. I'm just trying to stay clean, keep my head straight, and whatever happens in the future, I'm just grateful for. I'm just grateful to be clean and away from her today. That's all I can say.
Has this strain put a temptation there with any of your addictions of the past to go back to drugs or drink?
No, I would have said this has made me totally stronger in my recovery, and it has.
That's a great way to leave this. Andy Goy, I thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best. You can make up your own minds. The Josie Cunningham story, I'm sure, will continue to be played out in the press. My only word of warning, as I said before this interview, is there's tit for tat. For every story that you give your side, she's going to come back 10 times harder. And my fear is I don't know where it will stop. Do you? Do you know when she'll give in and find her next person to feed her next headlines?
I would have said she will carry on with what she's done with me with the next person or whoever she ends up being with, but I really hope she doesn't, and she does change her life, but I can't change it. What's happened has happened. And
perhaps try next time love making. Let's see if that's a key to a good relationship. How about that?
Yeah, I would have said that's exactly what I need to do next time I'm in a relationship with anybody.
Thank you for your time. Take care, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, I appreciate that.